You're jolted awake. Again. It's 2:17 a.m., and for the third time tonight, you, or maybe your father, or your grandmother, has shuffled out of bed, stumbled to the bathroom, and tried not to trip on the edge of the rug in the dark. You sigh. You're exhausted. Not just from the broken sleep, but from the worry that's building quietly in the back of your mind. You try to brush it off. It's just old age, you whisper to yourself. It's normal, right? But, is it? Maybe you've started noticing it more often lately. That your dad, who used to sleep through the night like a log, now wakes up every couple of hours to pee. Or your mom, who's always been full of energy, now seems groggy, irritable, and just not herself. And deep down, something doesn't feel right. You're not overreacting. You're not imagining things. Because while we often joke about it, those nightly bathroom runs, it's actually not just one of those things that happen as we age. Frequent nighttime urination, what doctors call nocturia, can do more than interrupt sleep. It slowly chips away at rest, weakens the immune system, increases the risk of dangerous nighttime falls, and can even be a sign of deeper health issues. That's why this matters. Because it's not just about bathroom breaks, it's about your loved one's safety, health, and dignity, and maybe even your own. So today, we're going to talk about something surprisingly powerful. Something you probably already have in your kitchen, or could, very easily. Nuts. Yes, nuts. 6 types of nuts that can actually help calm the bladder, improve sleep quality, and make those late-night sprints to the toilet less frequent. And, just as important, 5 nuts you might want to avoid, because they could be silently making things worse. I know it might sound too simple, but trust me, by the end of this video you'll understand exactly why certain nuts can either support or sabotage your body's ability to rest. And more importantly, you'll walk away with easy, natural tips to help yourself, or someone you love, sleep longer, deeper, and more peacefully. So let me ask you this. Have you or someone close to you been waking up several times a night just to use the bathroom? If you've ever wondered why that's happening, or if you've just accepted it as normal aging, then this video is for you. Comment below with the words, "Better sleep starts now," if you're ready to take control of those sleepless nights. And while you're here, don't forget to subscribe to Elderly Spring, because every week, we share real, caring, and practical insights to help you and your loved ones live healthier, more comfortable lives in the golden years. Now, let's talk about those 6 special nuts, and the 5 troublemakers we don't often think twice about. You'll be surprised at what you learn next. Let's begin with the first nut that's quietly helping thousands of older adults sleep better at night: almonds. Take Mrs. Lillian, 72 years old, retired school principal. Every night she'd grab a couple of cookies with her tea. It was her routine, her little comfort. But after a few more rough nights, getting up at least 3 times to pee, struggling to fall back asleep, she decided to switch things up, just to see. Instead of the cookies, she started taking a small handful of raw almonds. Nothing else. Within a week, she noticed something surprising. She was waking up less often, and even when she did get up, she was able to fall back asleep faster. Now here's why that happened. Almonds are rich in magnesium, a mineral that most of us, especially as we age, don't get enough of. Magnesium helps your muscles relax, and that includes the muscles around your bladder. When those muscles are tight or overactive, they can trigger more frequent urges to urinate, especially at night. Magnesium also supports your sleep cycle, helping your body reach deeper, more restorative stages of rest. Now, some people avoid almonds because they think they're too fatty or might make them gain weight. But that's not quite right. When eaten in moderation, say 10 to 12 almonds, they actually help reduce inflammation and even support a healthy weight. So if you're snacking before bed, consider this a gentle nudge. Swap out that biscuit or salty cracker for raw, unsalted almonds about an hour before sleep. Your bladder just might thank you. But not all nuts are calming. Some, as you'll learn later, can actually irritate the bladder. So let's keep going. Next up, walnuts. George is 68. He's a retired mechanic who loves his meat and potatoes. But after his doctor advised him to eat healthier fats, he began adding a sprinkle of crushed walnuts to his dinner salad. He wasn't expecting much, but over the next 2 weeks something changed. He was sleeping deeper. No more tossing and turning, and most importantly, fewer midnight bathroom runs. So what's the secret in walnuts? It's melatonin. You might have heard of melatonin as a sleep supplement, but walnuts naturally contain small amounts of it, just enough to gently support your body's circadian rhythm without needing a pill. That means your sleep becomes more consistent, and your bladder gets a chance to rest longer without interruption. Some folks ask, wouldn't it be better to just take a melatonin tablet? But here's the thing. When you get melatonin from food, it's absorbed more gently, more naturally. And that's important, especially for seniors who may already be juggling multiple medications. So here's the practical step. Try adding 1 to 2 tablespoons of crushed walnuts to your dinner, on your salad, your rice, even in a bowl of soup. Now, while walnuts are great for your brain and bladder, the next nut, well, it's technically a seed, is a secret weapon for older men dealing with prostate issues. Pumpkin seeds. You might be thinking of Halloween, or maybe those packets of salted seeds at the store. But listen to what happened with Charles. He's 74 and had been dealing with an enlarged prostate for years. Late-night urination was just part of life for him. But after reading about pumpkin seeds, he began eating a small handful each night, lightly roasted, no salt. In a matter of weeks, he noticed less urgency, less pressure, and yes, fewer trips to the bathroom. So why do pumpkin seeds work? They're packed with zinc and phytosterols, natural compounds that support prostate health and reduce inflammation. That's huge, especially for older men, because the prostate sits just below the bladder and surrounds the urethra. When it swells, it can make urination difficult and frequent. One common mistake people make is thinking they need pumpkin seed oil to get the benefits. But the truth is, the whole seeds, when eaten regularly, can be just as effective and often safer. So here's your move. Grab a small handful of unsalted pumpkin seeds, roast them lightly if you like, and enjoy them before bed. Let's move on to another often overlooked powerhouse: pistachios. Emily, a retired teacher, was in the habit of nibbling on pretzels or salted peanuts while watching her evening shows. But her daughter encouraged her to switch to pistachios, specifically the unsalted kind. At first, Emily wasn't sold, but after a week or so, she noticed her evenings felt more settled. She wasn't as restless, and for the first time in months, she slept straight through the night. Here's why pistachios help. They're rich in antioxidants and vitamin B6, which helps regulate the nervous system. A calmer nervous system means your body isn't sending out those false time-to-pee signals when you're actually supposed to be sleeping. The catch? Most people grab the salted version, which is full of sodium, and sodium can actually increase nighttime urination. So the key here is simple. Go for unsalted pistachios. About 30 kernels is enough. And try to eat them in the early evening, not right before bed, so your body has time to digest. All right, next, cashews. Now, I know what you're thinking. Aren't cashews bad for the kidneys? That's a common worry. But here's the truth. It all depends on how much and how often. Miriam, a 70-year-old grandmother of 6, had this very concern. But instead of eating a big bowl of them, she started adding just 5 or 6 raw cashews to her homemade trail mix. She noticed something surprising. Within days, her frequent nighttime bathroom visits dropped dramatically. Cashews are rich in magnesium and healthy fats, both of which help support the muscle tone around your bladder. A stronger bladder means better control and fewer overactive urges. So yes, cashews can be helpful, but only in small amounts. Avoid the sugary, honey-roasted types or the ones drowned in oil. Stick with plain raw cashews, and you just might find your sleep improves in ways you didn't expect. And finally, we come to one of the most powerful but also most misunderstood nuts of all: Brazil nuts. Sam, 75 years old, a former bus driver, started eating just one Brazil nut every morning. Not two, not a handful, just one. He didn't change anything else in his diet, but within 2 weeks he said he was waking up feeling more rested and going to the bathroom less at night. How? Brazil nuts are incredibly rich in selenium. This mineral plays a big role in your thyroid and hormonal health, both of which impact bladder control. When your hormones are off balance, everything else gets thrown off, including your ability to sleep through the night without interruption. But here's the catch, and it's an important one. Too many Brazil nuts can be harmful. Just one nut contains more than your daily recommended amount of selenium. Eating too many can lead to toxicity over time. So if you decide to try Brazil nuts, remember this: 1 nut per day is enough. Yes, just one. Chew it slowly. Enjoy it. And know you're doing something powerful for your body with just a single bite. Now that we've covered the 6 helpful nuts, it's time to turn the page. Because while these natural foods can support better sleep and bladder health, there are other nuts, 5 of them to be exact, that can sneakily be making things worse. And that's what we'll dive into next. So stay with me, because what you don't know could be keeping you or someone you love up at night. It's not easy, is it? Watching someone you care about get up over and over again in the middle of the night. You hear the soft creak of the mattress, the quiet shuffling footsteps in the hallway, maybe the click of the bathroom light switch. And then, silence. Until it happens again. You see the bags under their eyes in the morning, that distant look on their face as they sip their tea. You ask, "Did you sleep okay?" And they nod. They always nod. But you can tell, they're tired, worn out, not just in the body, but in the spirit too. And maybe it's not just them. Maybe it's you waking up night after night. Maybe you've started to feel it in your bones, the heaviness of broken sleep, the way it lingers in your body the next day. The fog, the mood, that slow, dragging exhaustion that doesn't go away, no matter how early you go to bed. And it's more than inconvenience, because every time someone over 60 has to get out of bed at night, the risk of a fall goes up. One wrong step, one slip. That's all it takes. A broken hip, a long hospital stay, sometimes and worse. And it could all start with something as simple as too many trips to the bathroom. But here's the thing. Tonight, you have options. You don't need to rely only on medications. You don't have to feel helpless. You now know that something as small as a nut, a handful of almonds, a few pistachios, a spoonful of pumpkin seeds, can make a quiet, powerful difference. No extreme diets, no expensive pills, no confusing instructions. Just food. Simple, natural food. Food that speaks the same language as your body. That supports the systems aging tries to wear down. That works gently, slowly, and with care, just like the way you care for your loved ones. So here's my gentle suggestion. Tonight, instead of reaching for cookies, crackers, or those salted peanuts that look innocent but wreak havoc, try offering one of the 6 nuts we talked about. Just one change, one bowl, one mindful decision. You don't need to overhaul everything, just replace that bedtime snack, try it for a week, watch what happens. Pay attention to the nights, to the mornings, to the mood, the energy, the quiet relief of uninterrupted rest. Because every caring step you take, no matter how small, adds up. Every choice to nourish instead of numb. Every effort to soothe instead of ignore. That's what love looks like in these years. It's in the details. It's in the things most people overlook, like the kind of nut sitting on your kitchen counter. So if you're listening to this right now and you're tired or worried or trying your best to care for someone who's quietly suffering, just know this. You're not alone. You're doing something important. And even though it might not always feel like it, your efforts matter more than you know. Sometimes, the most powerful healing doesn't come from a pharmacy. It comes from awareness, from action, from the simple decision to care enough to try something different. And in this case, that might just mean a nut. That's the beauty of it. Small step, big impact. And you've already taken the first one by being here. Now let's talk about the other side of the coin. Because while we've covered 6 powerful nuts that can help reduce nighttime urination, There are others, 5 of them, that may be doing more harm than good. And the worst part? Most people eat these thinking they're making a healthy choice. You might even have one of them sitting in your pantry right now. Let's start with a big one. 1. Peanuts. Yes, peanuts. I know, technically they're a legume, not a nut. But for most of us, they show up right alongside almonds and cashews in every nut mix. We toss a handful in our mouth without thinking twice. But here's what you need to know. Most of the peanuts we snack on are roasted, salted, and sometimes even coated with oils. And that high sodium content? It matters. Salt causes your body to hold on to more water. And when bedtime rolls around, all that fluid has to go somewhere, which means, yes, more late-night trips to the bathroom. And if that wasn't enough, peanuts are one of the most common food allergens. Even in people without full-blown allergies, they can trigger low-level inflammation in the body. Inflammation that quietly worsens bladder irritation. Here's something else people rarely talk about. If peanuts aren't stored properly, especially in humid or warm places, they can develop aflatoxins, harmful molds that affect the liver and immune system. That's not the kind of thing you want creeping into your diet, especially as your body gets older and more sensitive. So what's the fix? Try swapping peanuts for raw almonds or lightly roasted pumpkin seeds. Both offer the same crunch, without the salty sting or hidden risks. Now let's move on to one of the biggest nighttime snack traps of all. 2. Salted mixed nuts. You know the ones I'm talking about. The big container you keep by the couch. A little of this, a little of that, cashews, peanuts, Brazil nuts, and maybe a few almonds. They seem like the perfect snack. Tasty, quick, no prep. But here's the problem. Most salted mixed nuts are loaded with sodium. We're not talking just a pinch. It's often more than your daily recommended amount in a single handful. And that much salt? It tells your body to retain water, which then flushes out overnight, right when you're supposed to be resting. Here's where it gets tricky. People often say, but I only eat a small amount. But because these nuts are salted and often roasted in oils, your body holds on to that salt like a sponge. And when you lie down at night, that fluid starts moving through your system, straight to your bladder. So what can you do instead? Try making your own mix. Buy unsalted versions of your favorite nuts, like almonds, pistachios, and pumpkin seeds, and combine them yourself. Add a sprinkle of cinnamon or turmeric for flavor, without the salt. It takes just a minute to prepare and can make a huge difference. Next up, one that sounds exotic and healthy, but comes with a warning. 3. Macadamia. Nuts macadamias. Soft, buttery, rich. They're often marketed as a super fat nut, and yes, they are high in good fats. But that doesn't mean they're always a good choice, especially at night. Here's why. Macadamias have a very high fat content. Now, fat isn't bad. In fact, we need it. But for older adults, especially those with slower digestion, a heavy fat intake late in the evening can lead to bloating, sluggish digestion, and disturbed sleep. Your body ends up working overtime while you're trying to rest. And if your digestion is disrupted, your bladder gets involved. The two systems are more connected than we think. Pressure in your gut can trigger pressure in your bladder. And just like that, you're back to waking up at 2 a.m. Now some people say, but they're healthy fats. And that's true, during the day. But at night, it's best to go lighter. If you love macadamias, have a few in the afternoon, but avoid them in the evening hours. Let's keep going. Now we're getting into a sneaky one, a favorite among sweet tooths. 4. Candied or chocolate-covered nuts. They look innocent, don't they? A few chocolate-covered almonds, maybe some honey-roasted peanuts, just a little treat to end the day. You figure, it's better than a candy bar, right? But here's the deal. Even a small amount of sugar late at night can spike your blood sugar. And when your blood sugar goes up, your body reacts by trying to flush it out, through urination. Not only that, but sugary nuts are often combined with caffeine-containing chocolate or hidden preservatives. That combination is a perfect storm for restless sleep, a stimulated nervous system, and, you guessed it, more trips to the bathroom. The most dangerous part? These snacks feel light. You don't realize how much sugar you've taken in until it's too late. So what can you do? If you crave something sweet, go for naturally sweet unsalted pistachios or a small piece of fruit earlier in the evening. Or try cinnamon-dusted almonds for a satisfying, naturally sweet bite without the sugar crash. And now, let's talk about one nut that doesn't seem like a problem but might be causing issues behind the scenes. 5. Chestnuts. Now I know, chestnuts feel wholesome. They're soft, a little starchy, and often used in winter recipes. And unlike most other nuts, they're low in fat. But here's where they can cause problems. They're very high in starch and carbohydrates. Now, carbohydrates convert to sugar in your body. And if you're eating them later in the day, especially close to bedtime, that sugar causes your blood glucose levels to rise. Just like with sugary snacks, this leads to insulin spikes, and your kidneys respond by flushing that sugar out fast. That means more water loss and more urination. Even though chestnuts are low in fat, they're too glycemic for a late-night snack, especially for older adults who might already be dealing with blood sugar fluctuations. Chestnuts aren't evil. You can enjoy them, in moderation, but have them earlier in the day. Think lunch or an early afternoon snack, not a bedtime treat. So, just to recap, we've now looked at 5 nuts, or in some cases, nut-like snacks, that can quietly worsen nighttime urination. Peanuts, especially salted ones. Salted mixed nuts. Macadamias, with their heavy fat load. Candied or chocolate-covered nuts. And starchy chestnuts. These might seem harmless. But when sleep is on the line, when your or your loved one's safety is at risk, every detail matters. And sometimes just avoiding the wrong snack at the wrong time can mean the difference between 3 trips to the bathroom and a full night of rest. Next up, I want to share something even more practical, simple tips and habits beyond food that can make your evenings calmer and your sleep deeper. Because while food is powerful, your routine matters too. Let's talk about that. Now that you know which nuts to lean on, and which ones to quietly move off your evening plate, let's take things a step further. Because here's the truth. It's not just about what you eat. It's also when you eat, how you move, and what little habits you carry into your evenings. You see, your body has a rhythm, a natural pattern, and when you start working with that rhythm instead of against it, things start to change. Sleep gets easier, bathroom trips slow down, energy comes back. And often it's not one big fix. It's a handful of small, gentle shifts. Let me walk you through a few of the most powerful ones. First, be mindful about fluids in the evening. Yes, hydration is important. We talk about it all the time. But drinking lots of water in the final hours before bed? That's one of the fastest ways to trigger nocturia. Try this instead. Get your water intake during the day. Then, about 2 hours before bedtime, start slowing down. Not stopping completely, just easing up. Sip if you're thirsty, but avoid those big glasses of water after dinner. It might feel small, but your bladder will thank you for it come midnight. Next, watch the caffeine. Coffee in the morning, go for it. But after 3 p.m., it's time to dial it back. Caffeine is a stimulant. It not only makes you more alert, but it also acts as a diuretic, which means it pushes fluid through your system and straight to your bladder. That evening cup of tea, or the just one soda at dinner, might seem innocent, but it could be the very thing keeping you or your loved one up at night, trotting to the bathroom again and again. Third, gentle movement goes a long way. I'm not talking about a full workout. Just a few gentle pelvic exercises can do wonders. Think small, focused movements that help strengthen the muscles that support your bladder. We're talking light bridges, seated leg lifts, or even simple Kegels. These aren't just for younger folks. In fact, they become more important as we age. A stronger pelvic floor means better control, fewer leaks, and less urgency. Try doing a few of these before bed. Nothing fancy, just 5 to 10 minutes of mindful movement. Over time, it builds strength where it matters most. Fourth, make emptying your bladder part of your bedtime ritual. It sounds obvious, right? But you'd be surprised how often we skip this simple step. Right before you lie down, go to the bathroom. Even if you don't feel a strong urge, get your bladder as empty as possible. That way you start the night with a clean slate. It's such a small thing, but it can mean one less trip in the middle of the night. And finally, here's a tip many people don't know about. Try elevating your legs for about 30 minutes before bed. See, throughout the day, especially if you're sitting or standing for long periods, fluid tends to pool in your lower legs. That's normal. But the moment you lie down, your body starts redistributing that fluid. It sends it up toward your kidneys, and that creates a sudden spike in urine production. So what can you do? Before you climb into bed, prop your legs up on a few pillows, or sit in a recliner with your feet raised. Do this for 20 to 30 minutes. It helps shift that fluid before you sleep, giving your bladder less work to do once your head hits the pillow. You see, this is about more than just food. It's about rhythm, about treating your body with care and awareness, about understanding that the tiniest tweaks to your routine, timing your water, moving your body, elevating your legs, can create real, meaningful change. And the beauty is, these things are gentle. They don't require a prescription. They don't disrupt your life. They simply support it, quietly, naturally, and consistently. Because better sleep isn't just about what you avoid, it's about what you support. And when you support your body's rhythm with calm, consistent habits, you give yourself or your loved one the best chance at a peaceful night. One less interruption, one more hour of sleep, one more morning without grogginess or worry. And sometimes that one little change, that's enough to turn everything around. Now let's bring it all together and talk about where you can go from here. Let's take a breath together and bring everything we've covered into focus. Tonight, you've learned more than just a list of foods. You've taken in knowledge that could truly change your nights, change the nights of someone you love, maybe even change the way you think about aging itself. Let's quickly recap what we've explored. The 6 helpful nuts that can naturally support bladder health and reduce nighttime urination. They are almonds, rich in magnesium, calming your muscles and mind. Walnuts, a natural source of melatonin for better, deeper sleep. Pumpkin seeds, supporting prostate health and easing urgency. Pistachios, filled with antioxidants to soothe the nervous system. Cashews, strengthening bladder tone with gentle, healthy fats. And Brazil nuts, a selenium powerhouse that helps balance hormones. Just one a day. And the 5 nuts you should be cautious with, especially in the evening. They are peanuts, salty, inflammatory, and sometimes toxic if stored poorly. Salted mixed nuts, loaded with sodium, promoting water retention. Macadamias, heavy in fat, which can disrupt digestion and sleep. Candied or chocolate-covered nuts, sweetened treats that spike blood sugar and wake the bladder. And chestnuts, starchy and glycemic, subtly triggering nighttime urges. Now, I want to hear from you. Which one surprised you the most? Was it a nut you always thought was healthy? Or maybe one you've been eating before bed without realizing its effect? And more importantly, have you already noticed a change? Maybe you've swapped out a salty snack for almonds, or tried cutting back water before bed and seen a difference? Whatever your story, drop it in the comments below. I read every single one. And believe me, someone else might need to hear what you have to say. And if you found even one idea today that made you pause, that made you think, I could try that, then I gently ask, consider subscribing to this channel, Elderly Spring. This space isn't just about tips. It's about care. It's about giving you tools you can trust. It's about making the golden years smoother, safer, and more peaceful, for you and for the people you love most. Every week we'll bring you practical, heart-centered guidance for aging well, naturally, simply, and with compassion. So as we close this time together, I want to say thank you. Thank you for showing up for yourself. Thank you for showing up for your loved ones. Thank you for caring enough to learn. Let's keep doing this, one step at a time. Let's keep learning, caring, and growing, together. Until next time. sleep well, rest deeply, and stay healthy. You've got this.